Hey Paula, so I think 3 things we can do to make your items sell faster is 1, work on the consistency of your photos. 2, price your items more in line with supply and demand on Poshmark. And 3, just being a little bit more specific about the items that you're sourcing and listing on Poshmark. Starting with the consistency of your photos, I want to highlight why I think this is important for your closet specifically and for a lot of people's closets I've been going through is when you're at a lower price point, I would say anything between obviously like 0 and maybe like $60. People, when they're shopping those closets, are more likely wanting to bundle items in order to make shipping make more sense. So people are more likely versus if someone's shopping someone's closet that's like 100 plus, they might be fine just purchasing that item outright with the shipping because it makes sense. But if it is something where it's like $25, like let me go check out the closet, see what I can add into it so it makes sense. So people are more likely to scroll your closet, which is why we want to be more consistent with our photos. That way it's a little bit easier and they're looking through and they can scroll really fastly and see what they want. So you're not too far off with the consistency. Honestly, you have a lot of things in place. I think we can refine it just a little bit. I would say either pick between mannequin or the hangers. I think for more like pants, you're doing hangers and then the tops doing mannequins. That's totally fine, but do all your tops one way and all your bottoms one way. And then specifically make sure that you have everything in the same amount of like angles and length away from the camera. You really want the items to be taking up as much as possible. And then you can use a background remover. You can either use Photo Room, or if you're cross listing, you can use Vendu and they have a background remover in their service. I have discounts for both those things, but really having a clean white background really helps with consistency as well as Google SEO. Secondly, we want to look at pricing. Some of your items pricing is not too bad, but I would say I'm not totally sure how you're determining pricing, but one instance I really wanted to take a look at was this Anthropologie dress. I went ahead just because I knew from looking at it, I think it's priced a little bit high. So I did go see into other listings and see kind of what it was selling for, what it sold at. Now this kind of is a little bit of a saturated item. There is a ton other ones listing. There is another small listed for $45. So yours is higher. So even when it comes to where Poshmark algorithm is working out, I think they also are like Google now, where they are prioritizing some of the lower priced of the items. So you want to be more in line with more of the lower priced items, especially for an item like this, where you probably, I'm not sure how much you paid for, but I'm more than likely thinking it's a little bit more on from like a thrifted side of things, as well as usually I can tell if an item doesn't have a good stock photo. I'm always doing research on stock photos before I even source an item, and I'm more than likely not to pick it up if it doesn't have a good stock photo, because your stock photo or your first cover photo is what like sells the item. So you never really want to use a grainy photo in general. So I would say, honestly, with this one, take off the cover photo and just use like a white photo for it. But anyways, when you go to the solds of this, there's a lot of them that sold for like 15, 30, and that's really in line, honestly, what I would expect for an older Anthropologie piece. So I would say something like this: make sure you're doing like specific research on what the brand is selling for, if the style, if you have a style specifically what it's selling for, and really look into the solds, see realistically where it's at, because it's probably going to be more in line with the solds versus where you have it at. And that kind of leads into the third thing of the items that you're picking up. Something like this Anthropologie piece, it is more on the saturated side, and we see that the items, when we go into the listings, like the prices have dropped, there aren't a ton of likes on it. So this might not be an item that's going to really sell quickly to begin with. When I did go through your solds, you sell a lot of like Madewell, J. Crew, Aritzia. So I would continue looking out more so for those items, like the Old Navy, even this one brand like Camilla Phil. I had never heard of it. I wanted to see if there are other things priced on Poshmark. I couldn't even find much other on Poshmark. So honestly, I don't even know if people are really searching for this brand that much. So that's also why it doesn't have too many likes, or why it isn't selling. I know it's recently listed, I think, but something like these brands that aren't super searchable are not going to sell very fast. So you're better off sticking with the items when you're really looking at the price point that you're in right now, for those more popular brands, because going through your solds, if you see all of them here, they're all a lot more like searchable type of brands. And I would say overall, a lot of your closet is that searchable type of brands. So I would say continue to hone in on style, really making sure that the items that you are sourcing, specifically making sure that it is kind of more on the recent side. Things like Madewell, J. Crew, and Aritzia are actually really easy to find the style numbers of on their care tags, and really seeing how recent it is. So do that, and I think all those 3 things will really help make sure that you're selling your items faster.